Good evening, everybody. Quick show note. Tomorrow night I'll be on AJ Elict's channel, and he does round tables pretty often. He has 3 or 4 people sitting and talking about Canadian politics. I really like the idea of having a long-form conversation on Canadian politics with people who are interested in that. And so I've watched his show, his round tables, a few times, and I'm going to jump in tomorrow. 7:30. Should be 7:30 Eastern time, but I think we're nailing down the final time now, but we'll figure it out. So tune in. Link will be in the description. Tonight's video is focused on money. And, well, money is the lifeblood of a campaign. And if you don't have that lifeblood flowing into your coffers, your campaign is going to peter out and stall. And, I mean, a national campaign is expensive, very expensive. This is a Maxime Bernier slightly slanted report, so be aware of that. But what about Max is tweeting, quote, Maxime Bernier's People's Party raised $762,000 in the first quarter of 2019. That figure is more than the Green Party raised in 3 out of the 4 quarters last year, and is more than the Bloc Québécois raised in any year since the last election. That's interesting to note. All of those things are interesting to note. But the Conservatives and the Liberals absolutely dwarf those numbers. Well, I mean, dwarf in that they have a lot more money by like a factor of 4 at least. So anyway, here's the CBC reporting, quote, parties filling coffers in record numbers for fall federal election. Canada's political parties are filling their campaign war chests ahead of this fall federal election, with the Conservatives, Greens, and Bloc Québécois setting new records, and the Liberals posting their highest first quarter results since just after their 2015 election victory. The Conservatives raised $8,010,861 in their first 3 months of 2019 from 50,000 donors, the party's best quarter since the 2015 election, and the best first quarter by any political party on record. It is also the first time outside of an election that the Conservatives have had more than 50,000 contributions in a single quarter. The Liberals raised $3,857,163 in their first 3 months of this election year, their best first quarter since 2016, when the Liberals were in the midst of a post-election honeymoon. The funds were raised from 33,000 to 321 individual contributions. I scroll down. At over $4 million, the gap between the Conservatives and the Liberals is the widest in any quarter since the 2011 federal election, when the Liberals were dealt their worst electoral showing in party history. This is also the first quarter in which the Conservatives have raised more than twice as much as the Liberals since 2013. I wanted to take a pause here, and we'll look at the NDP and some of the other ones, Greens, etc., in just a minute. I wanted to show you comparisons between 2015 and 2011 seats, because this is important. I just want to reread this, right? At over 4 million, the gap between the Conservatives and Liberals is the widest in any quarter since the 2011 federal election. Okay, so what happened in 2011? Here's 2011. So the Liberals had 18% at 34 seats. Incredible, right? This is when the NDP were the opposition, the official opposition, at 103 seats, and the Conservatives had just under 40% at 166 seats. And, well, it's interesting because the Conservatives are polling just around 40%. Here they are, and this is the Global News, not Globe and Mail, reporting 6 months before the election, support for Trudeau Liberals sinks to a new low. And this is a Canadian press poll that says, according to the Ledger poll conducted April 18 to 22nd for the Canadian press, just 27% of respondents said they'd vote for the Trudeau Liberals, 13 points behind Scheer's front-running Conservatives, who at 40% were in the range needed to win a majority of seats in the House of Commons. So if you're looking at that, 40%, and I think that's soft. I think that 27% is very soft, very, very soft indeed. And I will show you why. Because they have a lot of seats in Ontario. They've got about 80 seats here. And in Quebec, they've got, well, hold on, let me count. They have 40 seats in Quebec. So I think those two landscapes are going to change drastically. I don't think they're going to have any seats in Saskatchewan or Manitoba. I realize I hovered over Manitoba there. I don't think they're going to have any seats west of Ontario and before BC. And I don't know that they're going to have many seats in BC. What Trudeau's doing isn't necessarily popular. And kiss those Alberta seats goodbye. That's not happening. Not even a little tiny bit. So it's interesting to watch the numbers of Trudeau's strongholds dwindle. I mean, PEI used to be a liberal stronghold, just went conservative, progressive conservative. New Brunswick has gone progressive conservative. Newfoundland has an election coming up, so who knows? But that's 14 out of 35 potential seats. I don't know if Nova Scotia's got anything coming up or what their polls look like. But here, Ontario is where there's going to be, Ontario and Quebec, I think, is where there's going to be a lot of shifting. And Mr. Trudeau was trying the same tactics that Ms. Wynne tried when she lost her election, and soundly taking her Liberals from the government to non-official party status. Man, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? So, but it's interesting to understand that the last time the money gap was this much was 2011, and the Liberals got under 20% and 34 seats, and the NDP made the official opposition. I don't know that the NDP are strong enough to make the official opposition, so it's interesting to see, not a power vacuum necessarily, but that soft 27%, and let's say it's even a strong 25%, right? That's still not 30%, and that makes a difference, and that trend is not going up. That trend is not increasing. So interesting to watch. Okay, back to this to just finish this off. Here we go with the NDP. Let me get my bearing. The New Democrats raised $1,226,869 from 13,713 contributors. That's down from the $1.4 million raised by the NDP in the first quarter of 2018, though it's better than the party's performance in the first quarter of 2017. It's also a little more than half of what the party raised in the first quarter of 2015, when the NDP brought in $2.3 million ahead of that year's election. Greens Bloc set new record. Fundraising figures posted to the Elections Canada website show that the Greens and Bloc hit new highs in the first quarter fundraising for their respective parties. The Green raised $783,279 from 9,786 individual contributions over the first 3 months of the year, the party's best first quarter on record, and well above the $487,000 the party has averaged in the first quarter donations since the 2015 federal election. Scroll down, People's Party raises $762K. The Bloc and the Greens are the only smaller parties that are looking healthier going into an election year. According to a spokesperson, Maxime Bernier's People's Party raised $762,000 in the first quarter of 2019, more than $649,000 raised by the party in 2018 after it was launched at the end of last summer. That figure is more than the Green Party raised in 3 of the 4 quarters of last year, and is more than the Bloc Québécois raised in any year since the last election. The People's Party has not had much success in the polls, as much success in the polls as the other 2 parties. However, at around 2% of support nationally, however, there are around 2% support nationally. Sorry. Anyway, that's interesting to note. And interesting to note how quickly the People's Party is growing in comparison to the Greens, as an example. But, I mean, election is still a long way out, and there's a lot to be written between now and even the writ dropping. A lot can happen. The change of fortune for the NDP, just say, they thought they were on their way to forming the first federal government in 2011, right? Just one more. We've just got to get those conservatives to mess up one more time, and then, no, whoops, right? Whoops. Unfortunate. But, well, and I mean, not necessarily unfortunate, but that's how history goes. It can look like a sure thing, and then a party that looks all but tapped out is launched to majority, strong majority. 39.5 majority, right? And what are the conservatives polling again? Oh, right. So, I mean, hey, there's still a lot to be written, though, right? There's still a lot that can happen between now and then, and who knows? Polls are there not necessarily to inform you, but to influence your choices. So be aware of that. But it's fun to watch, right? One heck of a roller coaster. Thanks for watching, everybody, and tune in tomorrow. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to discussing things with AJ and whoever else is on the stream tomorrow night. So cool. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and check out the peoplespartyofcanada.ca.